Hello everyone, time to clean up this lovely electric typewriter from Olympia. I haven't done a video on this yet because I want to clean it up and do some more research on it before we get going. This cover is in pretty poor state. I'll clean it up though because it's not terrible, but some, I don't know what that is, but some gooey grime. Sorry about the location. I am lacking in space to clean something this big, but mainly I want to give it a cursory clean on the outside, and then I want to, well, see how it looks at that point, and then I want to dismantle it and have a look inside. I'm quite happy to just clean it as it is now and see how it goes, because there's some grime. It's easier to scrub when it's in its well, rigid form. And I'm just using an old rag here. Probably get the toothbrush on it as well. And it's just soapy water at the moment. Depends on what we come across. Might need something a bit stronger, but soapy water is what I'm using. And that's about it really. It's more of a therapeutic, slow thing, but it's mainly, by looking at it, it's just dust, so it's not too bad. So I'm gonna knock all the water off. That's been bad. Not a lot of space here. I suppose I should probably move the coffee over a bit, but yeah, I'm just gonna sit here, ramble on a bit, and give this a clean. I mean, okay, straight away there's some deeper bits, but I'm gonna retro bright it because some bits have yellowed. I'm just gonna buy some, what do they call it, like hair cream? No, I don't know what it is, but you know, it's hair stuff. So it's just just peroxide basically, isn't it? I mean, it's one of those things, just like, it seems so obvious now that will clear it, but years and years and years ago, okay, this isn't really coming off that well. Years and years and years ago, we didn't really know that would work, and the solution for this, I mean, it's kind of yellowed here a little bit. I think this is more the natural colour of this plastic around about here, so all of it's going to have to be dipped. I was going to plan to do it today, but it is not sunny outside, so there's no point. Because how it works, I'll probably do a video on it at some point, that you submerge it in peroxide, high concentration of it. I think, is it 20%? I'll do a proper video on it later. And then leave it out where the sun can get to it, because most of this yellowing has been caused by UV rays. I'm not entirely sure why some of this is yellowed more than others, but I'm guessing it's slightly different types of plastic. I did originally say it's because it was covered up, but then you would have seen like partial yellowing in certain places, which this hasn't done. I can't quite work out what that is, but yeah, let's go on the top. I just realised you're probably hearing a bit of traffic noise outside. I apologise for that. I don't normally record here. It's just here, it's close to water, and there's a spare table lying around. Not the largest, but... So any car noises, I apologise. This isn't meant to be a high quality video in that sense. It's just me cleaning an old electric typewriter. And some of this grime might be 30 plus years old. So, I mean, I find this very satisfying. I occasionally have to clean up. There's a few smokers in the family, let's just say that. And occasionally I have to clean various IT equipment. And while it is absolutely gross, clearing off all that nicotine gunk, it's kind of satisfying. I mean, a few bits of things I have in my house have come from those places. And you think that the smoky smell never comes out. I mean, I'm not the best person to say that. I don't really have a sense of smell, but people say it never comes out. I mean, it does. It won't go away once you clean it once, but give it time and the smell will eventually fade. I mean, that you probably can't tell on the camera, but that's looking much cleaner already. So there was quite a layer of sticky grime on there. Got towels on there. I'll do. Some of these parts might just end up in the bath. I mean, the keys aren't great, so I probably want to pop those off. Pretty sure I should talk about the thing that I'm cleaning, really. It is a electric typewriter from AEG Olympia. It's a standard 200i from 1988, but it could be as new as 93. They still sell the standard 300, which is insane. I don't know if they're still making them, if it's just new old stock, but they sell them for about, I think, £500–600 or euros, which, I mean, fine. I don't know if they sell, but they certainly have stock of them. I may look into buying a new one to see what the difference is, if anything. But I also did some. I still haven't found the manual for this. Still looking online for that. I found various bits of documentation, and I'll show you a few of them while I'm doing this. A few various things, but nothing too exciting. But I did find out a little more about the port on the back. That it's possibly, well, I can't find anything exactly on this model to tell you exactly what it is. But looking at other models and other bits of information, my best bet would be it's some kind of serial interface. And all non-standard serial interface anyway. I mean, it's not uncommon even on machines today where you have a few pins that are actual serial. I mean, the other pins could be unknown what. I need to find a pin out, or I suppose I could just experiment with it, see what comes up. Multimeter and that kind of thing. This water's slowly going grey. And this gunk on the side is coming off. It almost looks like, I thought it was tape to begin with, but it's not sticky. Oh, it might have been. It's not sticky, but it is coming off. Oh, should have got something a bit rougher to do this. I suspect this hasn't actually been cleaned since it was originally purchased, apart from the odd wipe down. I mean, it's been looked after quite a while, but I do wonder how long people would have kept electric typewriters before changing over to a computer. But anyway, I got sidetracked. That port on the back. These can be used as basically dot matrix printers with a single font. So you can send a string of data to it, as in characters, ASCII characters, and it will print it. But yeah, I have found what looks to be, oh, it's going brown now, looks to be the port on another model, which is on a board, and it sets the baud rate of the serial interface, which is interesting. But surely that's not what's on the back of here, because there's no other serial output for that. So I just need to experiment with it, and once I've worked that out or got close enough to it, I'll then do a full video on this, because it'd be fun seeing this print from a Windows 10 machine, would it not? It probably won't be able to do it direct. Well, I don't know, if it's serial I could write an interface that can handle that. I know there's other models of this printer that have a parallel interface, and that will print from like Windows 95, Windows 98. So it'd be nice to get one of those. Okay, this is a bit stubborn. I need to get something a bit rougher. Let's go try the toothbrush. Now I'm going to fast forward through cleaning this little bit. Okay, well, that's working. So, toothbrush not strong enough. Good scouring pad's going to do it. So, fast forward again. This is taking a while, but this is part of the fun, I suppose. This is probably going to take me an hour to clean. It's not going to be an hour video. Well, I don't know yet, I've never edited it. Oh, it's coming off. Honestly, it's coming off. That's what it's looked like before. That's what it is now. I mean, I could probably get something slightly more corrosive on here, but I don't really want to damage the plastic. And this is coming off, so I'm quite happy just to use soapy water at the moment. I mean, it's gone a bit cold, and if you can see that, it's gone a bit brown. Some of this muck's older than me. Actually, no, it wouldn't be, would it? It might be. Doesn't make it any less fun, though. Okay. Fast forward again. Okay, round to the back. You may notice I'm doing this in the kitchen. I did say where was a source of water. Well, on the back here, we've got some Velcro, which doesn't seem to serve any purpose, because there's no Velcro on the cover. So that's coming off, since it wouldn't have been originally there. And I know that because Olympia is written underneath it. This might need something a bit stronger to get the gunk off. I mean, it's held up pretty well. Held it pretty well. It's actually peeled skin off my thumb, which is not fun. This is very sticky stuff. Right. That looks terrible. So there's my thumb. Oh well. So yeah, that's gonna require some sticky remover or something. Oh no, it's kind of... It is coming off. We've got more of this... It almost seems to be like old, very old tape, but it's not sticky or tacky at all. And this is the port I was on about. I don't know if you can really see it. It's 20 pin. And the only 20 pin pinout I can find for an AEG Olympia, any model, is some jumper settings to set the board rate for the serial, which is interesting. But it also mentions the fact that if you want to do serial, please remove panel XYZ. So there can't be anything under these panels, surely not. But when I take it apart, we might find that there's actually something behind there, which will be amazing. Ah, there we go, actually. One advantage of sticky stuff. That's the colour difference, so not as massive as I thought, though it's not as quite as yellow down here as it is up here. Unless that's yellowed over time as well. Like I say, this is more therapeutic thing than anything else. I mean, I've been at this, what? 20 minutes, half an hour? Might think, why don't you use like a tool or something to get this off, but I know if you use your nails, if you've got any, you're not damaging the plastic beneath it, because your nails are softer than the plastic, generally. I mean, you could use like, just need something soft. I mean, case opening tool, spudger, whatever you want to call it, will probably do the job if you don't want to use your fingernails or don't have any fingernails. I mean, you can just work it off without damaging the plastic. There we go. Not perfect, but the water will get the rest. Got a P45 sticker there, whatever that means. Since it's pat tested, this was in a business. So, of course, that's actually harder to get off than the... Yeah, it's just a paper sticker. There we go, it's gone. So, the fact it's been pat tested means it was in a business. Signed by WWP53. It says P45 there, so I'm guessing it means something. Dated the 21st of the 9th, 94. So 21st of September 1994. This was last pat tested. Now this was either in service for all those years, from 88 to 94, or this was purchased in 93, or the early 90s, and only kept for a couple of years. Judging by its condition, I couldn't say. The keys aren't that worn, so I'm more inclined to think that this is from the early 90s rather than the late 80s. Not a problem, same model. Unfortunately, there's no other markings on here to tell me otherwise. I mean, they look like there might have been a sticker here of some description. They might have told us more, but here we just have Olympia AEG, made in Germany. Tells us it takes 220 to 240 volts and it's 50 watt. That's it. But I'm going to take the pat sticker off, because while that is interesting, there's only seems to be one sticker here, but they generally take these off and replace them unless they're being lazy and stick them over the top. But since it's supposed to be done every year, the stickers are meant to come off pretty easy. This is, well, this sticker, what, 20 odd, what year is it? 27 years old now. Not exactly. And judging by the yellowing underneath it, compared to over there, it's quite a thick sticker. Maybe it's from the 80s, because I would expect it to have a similar amount of yellowing from there and there. But this is not as yellow as the rest of it, but it's definitely yellow. So maybe this is from the 80s. I don't know, it doesn't really matter, does it? Well, time to fast forward again. Let's get rid of some of this grime. Now you might be wondering why I don't just retro bright this to start with, and then clean it, and then do it again. Well, A, as a waste of cleaning materials, and 2, I don't mind doing this order. You kind of know what you're up against and how badly damaged it is at that point. I mean, over in this corner I've been scrubbing it for a while now. Some of it is clearly some kind of gluey substance, but some of it feels like it's a bit of a dent. But it is coming off. I've been at this, what, 45 minutes now. Getting there slowly. Back to scrubbing. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to retrobrite it today. I will probably retrobrite it before editing this video and putting it together. So hopefully the finished product will be done, and I'll splice those shots in at the end. But with a rainy, muggy day today, there's not much point. Maybe I should invest in some UV lights. I don't do retrobriting very often. I try and, well, most of my stuff's been done, and I don't really buy much beige plastic. In all fairness, I wouldn't have purchased this if it wasn't for the channel. I mean, I've always wanted one. The guy was selling this one and a much smaller one. I think it was Olympia. It might not be actually, it was black. And I nearly bought both of them. But out of the ones he was selling, this was oversized. And it's so 80s, isn't it? So as soon as I saw it, I wanted it. Shame I didn't record the transaction, because that would have been... Because he just wanted it gone, the poor guy. I get it, it's huge. And what am I going to do with it? Is what I've been asked. Well, restore it, clean it up, for one. Which is taking a lot of time. And I've only ever seen one of these listed on eBay in Germany. So after doing a video on it, working out how I can get it to print, if I can get it to print, do a nice video of it. I don't have the space to keep it, which is really, really a shame. It's going to be a problem with this channel at the moment. I don't really have the space for some of this stuff. I never have. I mean, I've always had to throw away computer parts, and well, not throw away, but try and sell. But some of it has gone to recycling centres and, well, probably landfill actually, let's be honest, which is terrible. But it's what it's been, and it's always pains me when I have to get rid of it. But there comes a time when I can no longer do anything with it, or don't have the space for it, so certain ones have to go, and unfortunately this is one of them. One reason why I'm doing it in here, it's got no space for where I normally keep my stuff. I mean, it's beautiful though. It's a lovely piece of 80s machinery. I'm looking forward to taking it apart and seeing what's inside. Because the circuitry I'm kind of fascinated in, because if it's got a serial output, there's got to be some chippery going on here. It's not going to be anything too fancy. It's not like it's going to have... I mean, if this was a modern machine built today, there'd be a CPU and RAM and stuff in there. I know it's got a couple of kilobytes of memory. Actually, I don't think it's kilobytes. I think it might even be bytes. But it's got some memory for storing stuff. I mean, it's got to have some stuff because it's got a buffer for the keyboard. But can't remember how much you can store. I mean, it might be a couple of kilobytes actually. 1K maybe. Being the 80s, it's not going to be a lot though, because memory is expensive. When I've got the spec sheet, I will make it appear on the screen. Went through so many spec sheets, I can't quite remember what this was. I mean, trying to find any information on the standard 200i is impossible. It exists. It existed. But short of an occasional picture online, there's no information about this machine, which makes it even more fun for me, because I can't just Google it and find all the answers straight away. I've got to work this out myself. I'm going to have to take this apart and actually analyse what's down here to try and get an answer. And that, I'll probably fail. And if that is a serial output, I might be able to do something. But it's working out what to send to this to make it print. Interestingly, I have found a lecture training material on AEG Olympia electric key and typewriters. I need to say keyboards then. Instructing how you can write an interface to get these to print, and that's from the 80s. So that makes me think that, well, it doesn't surprise me, it's the 80s, that there was no common interface or driver sold, certainly with these, to get it working. And I can't see why there would need to be if it's literally just a serial interface. Ugh, it's a bit grubby, isn't it? A serial interface. You can just pump characters down to it, and I suspect it would just chuck them out to the buffer. You know, receive a character from the serial would be the same as hitting a key on the keyboard. I don't know though. Being the 80s, it could be anything. But generally, the simplest solution is normally the answer. You know, wire up Terraterm, well, wire up, boot up, start up Terraterm, get a machine with a serial interface and play around with some pins, see if anything happens. I've done that before with like camera systems and stuff. You find some random pins on a board, jam some cables into it, and magically sometimes you get an interface. I remember having to reset a password on someone's CCTV system doing that because they'd forgotten it, and there was no password reset because it was a dumb machine, but it had a version of Linux. It was running Linux, and I used a serial interface. There was a whole file system there, sitting on something, and there was a writable area for the password, and I just wiped out the password in the end. Tried making new ones, but I couldn't get it quite right. The person was quite happy to have no password on it, so that's what we did. And that was a modern piece of kit. Security be damned, right? It wasn't internet connected or anything, so I wasn't really concerned. Nor were they. They just wanted to get into see their cameras. That's sometimes what you gotta do. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but considering what it looked like before, that's much better. Well, I'm gonna keep going. I've got that side to do yet. It's coming off slowly. Ugh, I've been at this an hour now. I mean, it's a scratch. I don't know if you can see it there, but there's. Let me lower the light actually. Is it showing up? There's a bit of a scratch here. Well, scrape, so that's been rubbed against something. But all in all, the plastic is in surprisingly good condition. Bit of extra bright, and this would be good as new. Right. Yeah. Okay. You're a better judge than me because you can rewind the video. But that's much better. I've taken a bit of ink off there. Not happy about that. But I didn't really want to use anything more corrosive on there. And as I've been scrubbing this and obviously got the top layer off, it started to come off easier. So it does feel like there was like a layer of very tough grime on top of this. That's all over us. The colour of the water after cleaning this has been... Normally you'd expect a bit of grey because of dust, but it's actually brown. So what's mixed into this, I don't know. It's going to need another go on the back, I think. But because, well, for how it looked before, I don't think we can be too unhappy with that. In the state I found it in. I mean, the state I found it in wasn't that bad, was it? Let's be fair. But in the state I found it in, that's looking a massive amount better. Now onto this side. Looking on that picture almost looks like a front of a computer, doesn't it? Like an IBM or something. May have seen me pull this out. This end didn't go into anything, and it doesn't go onto the actual pins on the back. So I'm not entirely sure what it does. I can't quite see inside to what it's plugged into, but we'll have a look when we take it apart. And this side's pretty grimy, isn't it? Wherever this is stored, this corner has got the most of it. Right, hour and a half I've been at this now. It's funny when I do this just for fun and put some music on and have some coffee, I don't really notice how many hours it takes me to do it, but because there's a timer on the camera I can see it, and it's interesting. I'd rather not know though. Another indication this is taking a while. The camera battery has died twice, which Sony VZ1, small camera, pretty good, as you can, it's alright. Battery is absolutely terrible. Camera gets hot, though it doesn't overheat, which a lot of people said it would, but it doesn't. I mean, it has done a couple of times, but overall not a problem. But damn, does the battery have no life. Even when you plug it into power, which I've stopped doing now, because it just generates more heat, and that's when I have the overheating problems. A bit of a short burst, but overall it even drains with it when being charged, so there's that. Even in streaming mode, plugged into a computer, the battery's not full. It's only going to last about, well, a full battery lasts about 2-3 hours while being constantly charged, which to me is not good enough for a camera, especially when what I used before where I could leave it on all day and it didn't matter. Okay, well, look at that. We have a much cleaner looking machine. So there's a bit of buildable grime over there. Yeah, looks pretty good. Now regarding the keyboard, I am planning on taking all the keys off and giving them a proper clean. There's probably some grime under there, but overall they're in pretty good condition. It was the back of the machine and the sides that were the worst. The cover on top seems to have protected most of it. I'm also going to clean the cover as well, unless I can find the replacement one. But it'd be nice to keep the original cover, even if it is in a poor state. Well, I'm going to run this over with like a towel or something. And then we're going to see if we can take the back off. Now, from what I can tell, we have a screw here, and a screw here. And there are 2 screws at the front. So I don't know how solid this is held together, or what kind of hidden screws there are. But at some at this age, I don't expect there to be many. Not that these were designed to be repairable, but unlike modern things, they're designed, well, modern things are designed to be not repairable. So there's that. So it's just 2 screws. I can't believe it's just 2. Oh hello. Does that just lift off? What's holding that into place? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? We've got some like plastic clips here. Is that what's holding it into place? Don't want to snap anything off because we'll never be able to replace this plastic. I mean, you can 3D print something, I suppose, but it will never be the same. It is off. I'll pull this forward a bit. All the weight's in the back, though. Look at that. Isn't that just absolutely beautiful? Can I get a little closer? So what have we got here? Okay, so these don't have anything behind them. We've got this cable going from here to here. This is an earth wire. Going from there, you can't see it actually. It connects to there, going down to there, terminates there. This was connected to this here. This was used as an earthing wire, because as I mentioned before, this isn't earthed. So, guessing part of testing it was had to have an earth wire. So that's interesting. Unless anyone else can tell me what that's there, but that looks like an earth wire. Oh wow. Look at that. I have to drop this down a bit. Look at that. Don't see stuff like that anymore. Well, I can see 2 fuses. You probably can't see them. Just in there, got some fuses. This is all very fascinating. What have we got here? Any of these chips got anything obvious on them? No, these all look like I have to Google them. But that is fascinating stuff. We've got something here. Don't know what that's for. various ribbon cables. This is the one I'm most interested in. It's not labelled in any way that I can see. But that is the one I'm interested in because it clearly does something. I'm going to have to do a bit more research on this particular board. I mean, there's the power, which obviously goes into all that. That is one fascinating power supply. Power feeds into the board here. And then it does its stuff. That goes... Let's have a look. This cable here goes to Typewriter itself, and this blue one here, in fact, can I physically move that? No. Goes, I'm guessing the blue one goes to the keyboard. Well, that is absolutely amazing. And surprisingly, in here we've got a bit obviously dust, which, I mean, you can see that. Got quite a little bit of dust in here, but overall, that is very clean to the point where I do not actually want to take it apart. And just blast some air in there, and we're good to go. I would like to know what this is, because that is 4 pins that don't seem to do anything. These drive the motor, by the looks of things, on this side. Actually, no, where's that go? That's probably driving the pinwheel, and that's driving the motor. So what does that drive? And what the hell is this for? Well, I'm happy. First and foremost, that actually looks incredibly tidy. Well, I'm happy with this. Clean up some of the inside, take it apart a little bit. Need to do some research on these chips and work out exactly what we got here. But the next time you see this, I'll do a proper video on it, showing its features, functions, that kind of thing. And hopefully, with a bit of luck, and assuming it can do it, we will see if we can print. Because that is what I'm most excited about. Didn't know it could do it when I purchased it. But in hindsight, it actually makes sense. So, I'm guessing that's what this is for. I don't know if there's variations of this cable that plug into these different ports. But clearly this board, I mean, if I can think of is that's a serial connector, which would go into the round connector there, to the round serial type. That's the only thing I can think of. But time to go dig around old archives of files and see what I can find on these chips. And see if I can work out what this actually does. So, thanks for watching this very, very long video of me cleaning old plastic. If you're still here, well done. And hopefully, I'm hoping in a month or so, maybe less time, I can do this thing some justice and go through the basics. Find out what all the features are. That's going to be difficult. I've got a feeling I'm going to have to write my own documentation for this. And at that point, sell it on or give it to a collector or something. Because I unfortunately cannot hold on to it. But until next time, thank you for watching. Any questions, or if you know anything about this, please let me know. But until next time, goodbye.